Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Jim Dre Westbrook, Worth the Wait Guy here, and you're now watching episode 16 of Expose Worth the Wait Guy Chronicles. On today, I'm going to talk to you guys about Computer Love Part 2. So if you don't remember a few chapters back, we talked about Computer Love Part 1. This is where I finally tried the whole online dating, man. Like, I tried to meet women the normal way, if you will. I tried, getting hooked up in other ways, nothing illegal or scandalous. But I said, you know what, man, let me at least try this online dating thing before I chalk it up. And it wasn't working for your boy, man. Like, I tried, I went like 0 for 63. Like, nobody would hit me back, and I really didn't know what it was. I did get some help from one of my boys, shout out B, who helped me out. We changed some profile pics, we changed some verbiage, and made it more who I really was, and not that person, that representative that we try to, be sometimes. So it worked. So I said, you know what, man, at this point in my life in the story, no more Natalie. We talked about Natalie and kind of ended abruptly. I felt that, man, it wasn't who God wanted me to be. Yes, was she cool? Was she fun? Was she sexy? Was she freaky? She was everything a guy would want. But I would say on the surface, when you dug things deeper, who I was at that time and even who she wanted to be, we weren't here. We weren't eye to eye. We were not equally yoked. So it definitely didn't work. So this is me moving past Natalie, me trying to find myself. So there's no more, there's no more Natalie. There's no more Tasha. I felt that I'm ready to go back into that dating world and figure this thing out. So I got back online and, I said a prayer to God. I really wanted him to be in my corner. I surrendered and I apologized for all the stuff that I did with Natalie. And I said, God, you know what? I'm ready to take that next step, man. I'm ready to find somebody. And I really think I could find somebody online. There's all types of statistics out there. I'm seeing other people be very successful. And I'm saying, hey, if you want it like this for me, I'm ready to take that jump. I'm ready to take that leap of faith, and let's get it. So what happened? I had better luck this time. I think that's something that I think all of you guys will appreciate out there. I did not go 0 for 78 again. I was actually doing pretty well, but there was something about it. I got responses. I got responses from the type of women that I was going after at the time. But my usual reply after my messages was something like, man, you are great. You're funny. You're everything that I'm looking for. But you live too far. It's like, are you visiting Las Vegas and coming back to the East Coast, coming back to the Midwest? Even the women in Cali, too far. Only if you were in Pittsburgh. Only if you were in New York. Only if you were in San Diego. Only if you were in Atlanta. Almost every single message I sent on round 2, y'all, was like that. Beautiful women. Had it going on. Just not on the outside, also on the inside. Getting closer to the type of women I felt that I needed to be with at that time. But everybody wasn't from Vegas. Everybody didn't live in Vegas. Everybody was somewhere else and said, man, only if, you know what I mean? So it was one of those things where I wasn't down on myself, but at the same time, it was like, I'm not trying to hear this. Like, I'm trying to hear that, hey, let's make the long distance thing work. And I'm not saying let's make it work into a relationship. Hey, let's just meet. Let's start there. This is when I was doing too much, but I still was like, hey, even if you weren't in my city, I felt that, hey, if God sends her, if God really wants me to be with her, I'll go find her. I'll go chase her. I will make it happen. So I was eager and very open to, hey, if you didn't live here, I still would like to meet you. But none of those opportunities was happening. So it was one of those things where, man, like I was in a peculiar place. I was in a little weird spot that I believed in it. I didn't give up on it, but it really wasn't what I was trying to hear at that time. So I said, you know what, man, maybe I need to do something a little different. We switched it up, part 1, and that was successful. And even though I'm more successful in part 2 up to this point, I said, you know what? Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, or I could do something better. And what I did was, and I think this is part of the takeaway, um, I made a compromise. Now, I didn't lose myself. I didn't try to be somebody else. But I think at times we kind of have to make a compromise. Uh, I had high standards, y'all, and I still do. I was talking to a friend earlier today that I told a story about how someone thought one of my friends was bougie, and I was like, well, no, it's not that. It's just the fact that you have standards, and I think a lot of people in this world don't have standards, and the fact that you have them, people are going to say, you know what, that girl is bougie, and it's like, no, you just have standards. And that's how I looked at it when I was, doing the online dating thing. I had standards, and it wasn't that I was trying to be bougie, but you can check your standards. You can see, like, what are you asking these people to do? What do you want from these people? And if they have anything to do with your purpose. Now, back then, how I was dating, I didn't think purpose first. I thought preferences first. So if you was fine, if you had good body, if you worked out, if you were smart, if you were fashionable, all these things that they're cool. If you got them, great. But had nothing to do with a person's purpose in life. You know what I mean? So I had these certain standards, but I said, you know what? Maybe if I have these superficial standards and you only maybe have two of them, maybe I'm not as superficial. Maybe I'm not as basic as I've been. And that's exactly what happened, man, because one of the things at this point in my life when it was coming from dating, if you were a single parent, I wasn't messing with you. If you were a single woman doing your thing, you could have been fine. You could have been body out of this world. It didn't matter because I just didn't want that added stress. Or since that kid wasn't mine, I didn't want to deal with it. And I think a lot of guys are like that. If the woman has a kid, it's just, But who am I to rule out maybe something great that God wants for my life? This is me talking right now. But back then it was like, dog, I'm not with that. But I said, you know what? Let's change that. If you're a single parent and you cross all of those other T's, you dot all those other I's, you check those boxes, I'll holler. And that's exactly what I did. So I said, man, single parents, mamas, let's go. Let's really see the MILFs, if you will. And I got connected to one. Her name was Stephanie, which we'll talk a lot about next week. But it was pretty cool because she was everything else that I was actually looking for. She just happened to have a kid. And that is my takeaway, is that sometimes in life you're going to have to make some compromises. And I felt that with me having standards, sometimes it is hard to compromise because we feel that we are not upholding to our own standards or even to God's standards sometimes. But I know for myself, my standards were kind of ridiculous because they didn't have depth. Like I said, all superficial, very basic of me to want the things that I wanted, but had nothing to do with my purpose, her purpose, or the bigger purpose that God really wants from all of us. So I say, hey, man, just check your standards, see where you're at, see if you can make some compromises that will get you the result and the outcome that you really need in your life. Not the thing that you think you want or need because of who you are when it comes to status and, who you are when it comes to how many Instagram followers you got or how many likes you got on that post last week when you had no shirt off or you had a bikini. None of that stuff matters. It might matter to you, but it does not matter to him. And that's what we are always talking about when it comes to Exposed Worth the Way God Chronicles. So again, check your standards, see where you're at, and if you have to make some compromises that will help you in the long run, please do so. Cool? All right, y'all, that's another week. I appreciate all this love and support I've been getting on Exposed, and then, have a great weekend. I'm going to holler at y'all next week. Peace.